O-State TV's Countdown to Kickoff. I'm Chandler Rogers. Texting is one of the leading causes for distractions behind the wheels, but texting isn't the only way your smartphone can distract you while you're driving. After the war began, Dr. Rauda and her family, including her 2 young sons, traveled all the way from Lebanon to California. She says they did so that her and her sons could have opportunities. I am here with OSU alum Galen, who's come all the way from Edmond to cheer on the Cowboys. Now, Galen, it's raining outside, so what are your pregame plans? If you have a cell phone, chances are it's a smartphone. But are smarter phones helping or harming us? I found out how smartphones are distracting some young drivers behind the wheel. With the exception of helmets and pads, OSU's contract with Nike has the team and the coaches completely outfitted in Nike gear. I'm Chandler Rogers. It is a beautiful day here in Stillwater, Oklahoma. It's a little bit of a chilly morning. We're hanging right about 60 degrees, but the temperatures are only going to increase throughout the day, so 2:30 kickoff should be perfect. The Colvin Recreation Center has everything students need to stay in shape, but there's one thing the facility offers that many other gyms don't have, and it's helping some students reach new heights. We thank you for joining us for this edition of O-State Report. I'm Chandler Rogers. Anybody can experience part of OSU's history any time of the year by visiting Old Central, the oldest building on campus. But one of the largest parts of OSU's history only happens once a year. Oklahoma State's homecoming has been nicknamed America's greatest homecoming celebration, and with more than 80,000 people crowding the streets of Stillwater, it's easy to see why. The tradition began 101 years ago in 1913 with the start of the Harvest Carnival, which is still a part of the celebration today. In fact, many of the original activities from 1913 are still going on.
The parade has existed throughout the whole over 100 years now of this activity. The walk around has gotten much bigger. In fact, initially they didn't even close off the streets. People drove around.
David Peters knows a lot about the history of homecoming, and that could be because he played a part in America's greatest homecoming celebration when he was a student in the 70s. Peters says that house decorations were still a part of homecoming, but it was the parade floats everyone came to see.
I was the driver for 2 years in our parade float. So we spent a great deal of time on the floats. And they were very elaborate. We didn't spend nearly as much time on the house decorations.
The parade floats are smaller today, but the house decorations have become larger and more intricate every year. The house decorations originally started as banners and signs on sorority houses, and those decorations inspired what today is known as walkarounds. Homecoming at Oklahoma State has evolved into the enormous week-long celebration it is today. But Peters says that while some things change, some remain the same. And there's a reason why it's America's greatest homecoming.
It's intergenerational. You have from small kids, enjoying things, seeing things through their eyes, to people who are emeriti and retired, who still come back and see things. And I think having all of those generations mixing and interacting, I think is what makes it great.
This year's homecoming is called The Experience, and OSU is predicting that nearly 100,000 people will return to Stillwater. After all, that's what the celebration is all about, coming home. For O-State TV, I'm Chandler Rogers. OSU fans anticipate Bullett's appearance at every game, but what we see on the field is only a fraction of what goes on behind the scenes in Bullett's everyday life.
It's a privilege that I get, fun part of my job, to take care of Bullet on game day and also in any other time that he might need it.
Associate Professor of Equine Medicine Lindy Gillum is Bullett's personal veterinarian. She spends a lot of time with the horse to ensure that he's as fit as the Cowboys' defensive line.
We him in the preseason and make sure that he's sound, all his legs are working right, he's not sore anywhere. Basically from the tip of his nose to the tip of his tail, we make sure that he's healthy.
But when football season begins, Bullet makes his way to Stillwater from Tulsa with the Cunningham family, and immediately Gillum gets to work.
Every home game that he comes over, I do the same thing, do a physical exam on him before he goes out onto the field to make sure that there's no signs of illness, so he's ready to perform just like the athletes on the field.
Bullet isn't the only animal Gillum takes care of, but he is the most famous. On game day, Gillum is with Bullet throughout the day, both on and off the field.
Of course, there's a little bit of pressure when there's TV cameras on. I'm always saying prayers that nothing goes wrong with Bullet on game day.
Thankfully, Gillum and her team have never had any trouble with Bullet, and it does take a team to make sure things run smoothly for Bullet on the field.
It's definitely a team effort, just like it takes more than just a quarterback. It takes more than me.
And thanks to that team, fans can expect to celebrate touchdowns in Boone Pickens Stadium with Bullet for years to come. For O State TV, I'm Chandler Rogers. It's a taxi service, but not the kind you're used to. With a touch of a button on your smartphone, Uber allows you to have your choice of 4 different types of cars that can be at your location in minutes. You set up an account with your credit card information, so after every ride, there's no direct exchange with the driver. Giving your credit card information out is a cause for concern, but safety is another. Trey Niblett, a senior at OSU, says he's not worried about his safety when using Uber.
They do track all of their cars, which is kind of nice, so someone always knows where you are. And then again, their drivers go through background checks before they can even drive for Uber. So I think the safety there is pretty good.
Anyone can become an Uber driver. You use your own car, but the cars aren't marked like regular taxis, and that makes them hard to spot in crowded areas. And for some users, that's become a problem. Christy Reed, a student at OSU, says she's used Uber, but it wasn't what she expected.
We got into this unmarked SUV because we thought it was Uber. He told us he was Uber, and he took us home. And then when we went to pay, and we were like, okay, you have our information, like, thank you. And he was like, I don't have your information. And we were like, what do you mean? And he was like, I'm not Uber.
Reed says she still feels safe with Uber and will continue to use the app.
There are crazy people, whether they're Uber drivers, taxi drivers, or passengers. People are gonna do crazy things. But all in all, I would still take that chance because you can't be afraid to live.
So if you ever need a quick ride, there's an app for that. For O State TV, I'm Chandler Rogers.